Starting off our list is a very unique aircraft that has no guns. A fighter that was designed to take the Allies head on by literally ramming its head into bomber aircraft. Called the Gotha Rammer, it has nothing more than a cockpit in a rocket that was heavily shielded. It would fly up or just be dropped off by another aircraft and just steer into the crowd of bomber planes. Several designs exist for it, but like many on this list, it never entered active service. And it's this next aircraft that you kinda wish did enter active service because it looks so wacky. Developed by a farmer in 1938, this aircraft design has long been held as the basis for all those UFO rumors. Called the SAC AS-6, it was designed to be a low-speed aircraft with short takeoff observational abilities, but this concept never really got off the ground, and thanks to the egos involved with its inventor, it never entered serial production. The idea had merit, however, and its concept was realized with the Vought V173 in the United States, commonly known as the pancake plane. Of course, it's the next item on our list that's the most interesting. Raid Shadow Legends, a blockbuster AAA game that you can play for free on your phone. Perfect for when you have to wait for the long 3D to render for the next found and explained video. And boy, this game is huge, with over 700 champions that you can choose to play on your team, but it's this new super cool new faction called the Sylvan Watchers that is my new favorite. They're supernatural focused, and from a deep forest, these heroes are forest elves, tree spirits, and you've even got living rock monsters. They don't like outsiders to their Mistwood, but they've made friends with the dwarves and Shadowkin through battle. And a new year means a new fresh raid update with a bunch of new features. New champions, of course, a new season of the Forge Pass, and a Polarium points program where you can earn in-game goodies including a legendary champion and much more. And in preparation for Raid's 4th anniversary later this year, this month sees the launch of the humongous 4th anniversary Titan event. This new type of event lasts for several weeks and is running right, and will see you earning anniversary points by completing its specially themed events. There are some truly amazing rewards up for grabs for taking part in this marathon event, so read the description down below to see what you could win. But there's more. New players use my link or scan the QR code in the right here to get a free starter pack and this cool in-game loot. For new players from the United States, Raid's prepared something special for you. It's time to vote for your favorite starter champion. This vote runs from January 16th to February 10th, with the opportunity to win awesome in-game and real-life prizes including epic and legendary champions, in-game items, and even Amazon gift cards worth up to $1,000. Once the vote ends on February 10th, one champion will be crowned the winner, and the prize winners will be selected via draw. So if you're not in it, jump in it right now. Everything's in the description, and we're back to the show. Our first bomber on this list is the Junkers U-287. Not only was it a state-of-the-art jet bomber, but it also had forward-swept wings that could outrun any Allied fighter jet at the time, at least theoretically. A prototype of this aircraft was made out of different parts of planes, and so it was called a Frankenplane and was built and flown in 1944. And this project even got to a point where an order of 500 was created in 1945. But it was far too late for this jet bomber to be built in mass numbers to change the tide. Its forward-swept wing design sparked new ideas and projects on both sides of the Iron Curtain, and we have a whole video about this plane on the channel that you can go watch right after this one. Next on our list is a fighter that has a unique feature of 2 propellers at each end, as in a pusher and a puller prop. This feature would make it Nazi Germany's fastest piston engine aircraft of World War II, but unfortunately construction delays couldn't get enough into service to make a difference to the ultimate outcome. 2 versions were made, a solo fighter version and a 2-seater trainer version. The EF-009 was designed as a point defense interceptor to be positioned around vital locations and then launched when they were in trouble. The plane was to be powered by 10 jet engines clustered around its nose and was expected to stay in flight for around 6 minutes, just enough time to shoot down an enemy bomber. It would then land unpowered on a central skid mounted on the front of the plane. To cope with the G-forces that would affect the pilot during takeoff, this pilot would have to lie lie down in a prone position. Takeoff would most likely be from a specially designed cart or vertically like a rocket. It would be equipped with two 20mm cannons and two 30mm cannons. But it never actually got built because aircraft design advances made this project totally obsolete almost before the plans were even complete. Now, something that is close to my heart is the special various aircraft designs that were created for the Nazi emergency jet fighter program, such as the Focke-Wulf Super Lion. All we know about this aircraft is power was meant to be provided by fuselage-mounted rocket engines and have two small turbojets for takeoff, and then use two ramjets that were kept at the back of its swept tailplanes. The rocket and turbojets would provide enough initial velocity to start its ramjets, and then it would be able to fly around faster than any other aircraft. And it would be used to take on the Allied bombers well before they could reach any critical sites. In late 1944, among various last-ditch efforts to stop the Soviets and Americans attacking them on both fronts, the Germans created a new weapon unlike anything seen before. A coal-powered flying triangle, designed to intercept Allied bombers and, just like the Gothica rammer, smash into them. The team that came up with this idea would even make flying prototypes, but interestingly, it was more of a ploy to save their own skin and get recruited by the Americans than actually save Nazi Germany. Again, I have a full video on this plane on the channel, which I invite you to go see. But before you do, it's not the most crazy aircraft on this list. A tail-setter design was something tried over and over again throughout history by the Americans, Soviets, and even the French, but of course it was the Germans who tried this concept first. And it was none other than the legendary Focke-Wulf Bureau that tried to build a working tail-setter aircraft back in World War II that had wings that rotated like a helicopter. The aircraft was to be eVTOL capable, powered by two different propulsion groups, with the main one was three ramjet engines on the tips of its propellers that spun around the cockpit. And in terms of weaponry, because it was designed to be an interceptor, it was to carry two 30mm cannons and two 20mm guns with some serious firepower. I really wish this one had been built because it would have put the Allies into a tailspin when they saw it in action. The Ho-229, or Horten HIX, was a Nazi prototype fighter bomber whose claim to fame was simple yet powerful. It was the first jet engine powered flying wing. It was designed as part of a program to come up with a futuristic new Nazi fighter jet with a 1,000-kilometer range requirement and 1,000 kilometers per hour requirement. And this aircraft was noteworthy because it almost doubled its distant requirement, being able to fly up to 1,900 kilometers. However, its speed was less than advantageous, struggling to get up to 1,000 kilometers per hour, and thus, for this reason, the project was dropped. But during the development of creating this new jet-powered flying wing, the Horten brothers came up with an even bigger concept, something that could take the fight back to the West and bomb New York. Called the Horten 18 and built as the big brother to the Ho-229, this bomber would have a crew of 4, have a length of around 20 meters, and a wingspan of 40, which is staggeringly gigantic. This flying bomber would use 6 Jumo 004B turbojets buried into the fuselage with air intakes on the wing's leading edge. With these engines, the plane could cruise at 750 kilometers per hour, to a distance of over the Atlantic Ocean, meaning that it could go to America and drop bombs on all of the facilities and perhaps even New York itself to kick America out of the war. But what if I told you this wasn't the most insane plan to bomb North America? Now, this next aircraft is so fantastic that it's totally got a spot on an upcoming video, but this is the Nazi bomber that was designed to fly into outer space. Okay, I admit that's a bit of a hyperbole. Rather, this was called a suborbital bomber that was thought up as the plan to destroy New York. The Sieber Vogel was designed to fly long distances in a series of hops. The aircraft was begun its mission propelled along a 3-kilometer long railway track by a large rocket-powered sled. Once airborne, it was to fire its own rocket engine and climb to an altitude of 145 kilometers, which at point it would be traveling at around 21,000 kilometers per hour. It would gradually descend into the stratosphere, where the density of the air would generate lift against its flat underside, eventually causing it to bounce and gain altitude again, where this pattern would be repeated. It would keep bouncing along the top of the atmosphere until it had crossed the Atlantic, dropping a 4,000 kilogram bomb. Once it had reached the United States seaboard, it would then keep flying to land somewhere in the control of the Empire of Japan. But as it turns out, they miscalculated the aircraft design and air density, and it would have totally burned up on each hop. But that's a story for another day. And for hanging around for so long, I might just slip in one other rumored Nazi aircraft that may have not even existed, called the Nazi UFO. Now friends, this aircraft was never actually confirmed, but there was plenty of papers and research done on this type of circular aircraft. One rumored design was a 6.5 meter in diameter that could fly around 2,000 kilometers per hour, which is around about twice the speed of sound. This craft could also reach 40,000 feet or 12,000 meters above sea level in around 3 minutes. It even had a blue-green glow as it rose from the ground and left a silvery glow in the air in its wake. It's also been further alleged that the Italians were assisting the Nazis with this experimental aircraft at the Fiat experimental facility in northern Italy. In 1950, an Italian professor stated in an interview that the Italians had assisted the Germans in building this jet-powered circular-shaped aircraft, which he claimed could fly horizontally by a spinning force. This Nazi UFO would have also had plenty of machine guns and rudimentary remote control missiles. But with no confirmation encounters with Allied forces, this aircraft remains a mystery, and a fantastic video that you can go watch right now on the channel, where we go into way more detail. So if you enjoyed this, subscribe, and don't forget about the lovely offer from Raid.